Hey, how you doing?
Hola.
Great, good, and you? Welcome to Mexico City Portal and Johannesburg Portal. Hi
Thank you
everyone,
so
guys.
much.
We are streaming live in YouTube. So I would like to also welcome everyone that is watching us live over there, that is joining. And I'm very excited to have this connection. The topic for today is the power of poetry. So we have a lot of artists today here, right? And we're aiming to have a great conversation around how poetry can be used as a powerful tool for transformation, for searching peace, for dialogue. So we're very excited for that. I'm also going to say that we're expecting two more guests right here in Mexico, but something happened, so the traffic is crazy. They're going to be a little late, but they will be joining us very soon. And well, also I would like to tell the people online that please feel welcome. And I would love to start by introducing ourselves so that we can know each other. And also when our guests came here, they can just introduce quickly themselves. And I would like to the people that is watching us online to introduce yourselves as well. Please tell us your name, your location, if you have any question or anything that you want to comment and share with us. We will be checking. Hector will be checking the comments and everything. So please feel free to do that as well. And well, maybe we can start by introducing ourselves over here and then over there. And then I'm going to share more details about the Global We and about the portals and about the sessions. So I will start. My name is Carla. I'm one of the facilitators in Mexico City Portal. And I'm super happy to be here with you today, guys.
Hello, my name is Ciela. I'm also one of the facilitators here in Mexico City, and I'm very excited.
Thank you. And this is Claudia, one of our guests.
Hi, my name is Claudia, and I'm one of the invited poets today, and I'm also really excited of being here with you today and having this experience.
Thank you. And over there?
Cool. So I can start. My name is Hector. I am the portal guardian for South Africa, Johannesburg. And outside of the portal, I'm a culture creator, doing a lot of amazing things on human connection, healing, cultivating access to spaces and information. And I look forward to the conversation. Like Carla said, if you're on YouTube, streaming from wherever location that you are, comment your location, comment your name, and we'll give you a shout out. And if you want to tell us what the power of poetry is for you, feel free to drop it in the comment section, and I'll pass it on to my guests.
Hi everyone, my name is Jonathan and I am a poet, a digital marketer, and I'm so excited and honored to be here today.
Nice to meet you.
Hi everyone, the name is Shaman Chand. I'm a poet and a photographer. It's lovely to be here today.
Hi guys, my name is Nokolo Desire. I am a poet performer, and I am also a curator in the community development space, more focused on skills and personal development. I am, a workshop facilitator focused on education, which is why I also do poetry. I'm a teacher at heart.
Wow. Thank you so much. It seems like we're going to have an amazing conversation around poetry and arts and all of this.
Yeah.
So before jumping into the conversation, I would love to mention some things. The first one is that we're dedicating this session to the memory of an amazing activist that very sadly passed away yesterday. Her name was Elena Larrea. So we're dedicating this session to her memory with all of our hearts. And also, I wanted to mention, to give a little more context about the Global We. What is the Global We? So this amazing project started on 2022. And what the United Nations were looking for was to establish a project in which we can bring together a lot of diverse voices, now more than ever, it is super important to speak about climate change, migration, human rights, the United Nations built together this project, the Global We, the UN Live Museum. So now this is what we're doing over here, and we have been doing it since 2022. So now we can start the conversation, guys. Again, if you're online, please, if you want to share your answer to the questions, it would be amazing. So maybe we can start over there with the question that is like the first one, that it would be, why do you like poetry?
Can I go? If I think I didn't like just like love poetry or like poetry. It's something I was born into. It's something I grew up into. My father was a poet, was a writer. So I grew up listening to a whole lot of poetry, like growing up, and also at school. I loved a whole lot of things. But when it was time for like the English class or like the Xhosa class, which is my home language, there has always been somewhat of like a more interest in language. So I'd say it's something that I was born with. And as someone who also grew up not being able to like fully express themselves, because I was a quiet kid, like when growing up. But my books were like really full of words. So I guess I'd say this power of like being able to express yourself at such incredible work, like worlds, because you can like really travel with poetry. As I do ancestral poetry, which is I basically try and make sense of like my ancestral journey and my ancestral dreams, like through writing. I'd say it's something that chose me as a kid growing up, about to this power of being able to express myself about a high level, about because like normally as Snetemba, like I can't really say some things, but when I'm on stage as a poet, there's things that I can say that I can like never really say when I get off the stage. So that power, being able to create worlds or like being able to make sense of things that don't really make sense at times in normal conversations. That's a really lovely power or gift to be like God given. So I
why do I love poetry? Why do I?
Wow.
My answer to that varies from moment to moment because there's so many reasons. So I just go with whatever comes to the top of my head in that moment, and it keeps changing. But at this time, I'm thinking of how when I didn't know how to make sense of myself and of the world and where I fit into the world, I was able to find it when I wrote into my journal whatever it is that came to mind. And then I would read it back to myself, and I'd be able to understand whether I would be writing about my own emotions, my own thoughts, or a situation that I'm in. After I've written it down, I would read it back to myself, and it would have a lesson for me or a message for me. So as I grew older, these were diary entries at that time when I discovered that I could do that. But when I grew older, I realized that I'm really good at painting with words. And there's this thing called poetry, and people do it for fun. And some people have it as a gift. Some people get into life careers because of poetry. And I explored to see what would happen if I tried. And I started writing poetry, but with the same effect that I had of writing it to myself so that I can make sense of myself and the world. And somehow there is always a message and a lesson that I learned. And then now I have taken it upon myself to share it. That's why I find myself on stage to say, hey, I found this thing. I decided to share it with you. So I love it because it makes sense. It makes sense in the chaotic life, in the chaotic world, that we do not know what is going to happen in the next moment. But poetry comforts us and makes it feel like it might make sense somehow. So that's why I love poetry in this moment.
To answer the question of why I love poetry, I think I would start with saying, for me, I understand that poetry is the highest form of writing. So if ever you learn how to write poetry or you engage with poetry, you are able to engage with every other human being in the world. So I love poetry because it allows me or it offers me the opportunity to create connections with people, to relate to people, and to understand myself better within my environment and within the spaces that I find myself in. And also, one of the reasons why I have been such a huge fan of poetry has been that during my darkest hours, poetry has always been the one thing that stayed with me. It has been the one thing that has been able to take me out of those spaces and to help me find myself whenever I feel lost. So to answer the question, the reason why I love poetry is because it will always be there for me when I need it the most. And it offers us this beautiful connection to ourselves and to the world that we live in, that it makes it so much simpler to find relationships in the things that we do, in the things that we say, and also in the people that we meet. Because if ever we cannot speak, sometimes poetry, you find that people do not speak the same language, but we can speak the same feeling. Because we can understand each other through feelings. So yeah, I think poetry has offered me that, and this is one of the reasons why I love it so much.
Wow, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thanks universe that this is being, like recorded, because all those answers were just great. Thank you so much. And what about you, Clau? Why do you love poetry?
Oh my God, it is so hard to go after those answers.
Yeah, I can imagine.
But in Mexico, when you want to study English literature at my school, you have to go through an interview process. And I remember that they asked me like, "Oh, why do you like literature?" And I was like, "I just don't like poetry. Like there's something off there. I don't like it." But then through my classes and everything, I started to love poetry because I discovered that I used to consider myself like a fast thinker and a fast speaker, and I'm always like thinking about 5 or 6 things at the time, and poetry taught me how to slow down. Poetry taught me that you have to read and reread and rethink in order to understand. And poetry taught me that yes, that I have to take a moment and another moment in order to be able to appreciate both like the voices of others and what they are trying to explain me. And that is something that, even though it is in the other genres in literature, for me, it is in poetry the most. And learning how to do that taught me a lot about how to analyze and look at literature, but also how to look at the world in a different way. And yes, that's why I ended up loving poetry the most, I think.
Wow,
Thank you.
great answer as well. Thank you so much. Thank you, guys. I'm starting to think about writing poetry right now. Well, and so that we can use the time that we get, I would love if we can answer one more question, but at the same time that we are answering that question, if you like to share one of your poems after answering it, it would be great. So the question is, how can we use poetry to move to promote social justice, to look for activism, to fight for social change, for the causes that we need to fight nowadays? How can we use poetry for that? And after you answer that, if you can share something of your own, it would be amazing. And if you want to, maybe we can start over there. Probably our other 2 guests will be coming soon, so they will be just adjusting to the session. Guys, if you want to start.
But before anybody starts,
The question. So the question was, how can we use poetry to mobilize social justice, to fight for human rights, to fight for what is fair?
yeah. Also to the audience streaming online, please feel free to share your thoughts on the question in the comments, and we'll read it out to the public. Thank you.
Yay.
I would like to start.
I can go.
Yeah, please.
So, one thing that I place emphasis on for any person who creates for the purpose of sharing as well, If you're going to write a song and then sing it for people and influence them, or write a poem and then share it with people and provoke a thought, is that the most important thing is that you must speak the truth. And I know that the truth differs from person to person, but ultimately we have a truth that does not cause harm. We have a truth that is absolute love, that considers the next person. And as long as we write from that place, we are speaking the truth. And that truth also leads us to fight for those who cannot fight for themselves. That truth also makes us generous, makes us more loving, makes us more of a community than individuals. So I always want to emphasize that we must speak the truth in the poetry that we share. And then that would make us activists of the truth. Regardless of what movement you subscribe to, whatever school of thought you incorporate in your life, if it is the truth at its core, it will not cause harm. If anything, it will cause elevation for everyone that it impacts. So I try to be as honest as I can be as I write poetry. And if I'm not sure, I ask. And if I share something that may be untrue, that I learn later, I make sure to come back and correct myself and correct those that I've shared the message to say that I was wrong at this time when I said this, and now I return to correct the message that I gave to you. So the truth is important. And so, yeah, I'll share a poem. That's my answer to that question. What poem? So I have a poem about time. This poem is just mainly to remind us to stay present, to remember that the past is the past and it's a memory, and the future is still in our imagination. And the only thing that is real is this present moment now. And the poem is called Time. I have learned that the future is slowly creeping up on us through intervals of instances, while we are distracted by the belief that it is further than the very next moment. We cast ourselves so far into tomorrow that we speed past today without living it. We treat the present moment like a portal into our daydreams, and we are always rushing somewhere, looking for a quick fix, rushing through every pulse of our heartbeats that we don't catch the rhythm to which our hearts beat. We are constantly reaching for a different realm in which we won't have to be who we are right now. We chant procrastination mantras about unborn destinies. We get so obsessed with this fantasy that we miss our reality. A man in a song once sang that time waits for no man. This rhyme chimes into that gospel, that time is man's invention, an absurd effort to measure eternity, to try and see just how much capacity the universe really occupies, a foolish attempt to figure out how old God must be. We are really that bold. We have placed ourselves in the authority over all things, thinking that we can compel the timelessness into divisions for our own consumption. We are really that bold. We forget that the future is coming, regardless of our disposition, for it has the habit of disguising itself as a far-off dream that is out of reach, while it delicately unfolds right under our noses, disregarded. And when it has long become the past, we wonder when it passed us by. For we placed our concern so far from where it was required that we missed the show. And what follows is that aching need to revise our history. We then chant reminiscent mantras about dead and buried yesterdays. We get so obsessed with these memories that we miss our reality.
Wow, wow. I have goosebumps. Thank you so much. It was amazing. Like, wow, mind blowing.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
No, really, thank you. It was amazing. So sorry, just to interrupt a bit. One of our guests is here. I will let her introduce herself like real quick so that we can continue with the session. ¿Quieres presentarte?
Bien, pues, hola, ¿qué tal? Una disculpa por integrarme tan tarde. Mi nombre es Nancy. Soy, pues eso, hago poesía, soy activista política en México, ex detenida por motivos políticos en la ciudad. Y pues bueno, esta es mi militancia, es mi trabajo.
Gracias, va a traducir Ciela. Entonces, un segundito. Gracias.
Oh, she is very sorry that she arrived late, but she's now here. ¿Qué estudiaste?
Letras hispánicas.
Okay, she studied Hispanic, how do you say it? Literature, and she's very happy to be here.
And she told us that she's also very political and she's an activist into the topic.
Yes.
So I think that she arrived just in time, right? She actually has been, it's detained because of her activism. So it would be very interesting to listen to her in a bit. So thank you so much. Muchas gracias por llegar. And we will continue with the session. If you guys can continue to answer the question and then read us something amazing like she just did that blow our minds, it would be great.
Thank you.
From my previous answer, I did say I grew up in poetry, and one thing I've always been taught is that even when we look at the history of poetry, like I'm gonna use my culture. I'm closer. Poets in our culture were people that made people aware of social issues and also reminded them of like history or like events that are important about like for the betterment of the community or and a poet inspires a whole lot of different feelings, but the most core thing was always look at something that's so simple and plain, and you might, as a poet, you really are able to tell stories of like something that's inanimate as these lights. I can tell a story about these lights, and then someone might just walk in here and just say that's like bright lights sitting here. Also, I believe like as like a poet and someone that's like a writer, you automatically it's your burden to enlighten people. It comes with being in the field that sometimes you might speak your internal truth, sometimes you might speak like truth that affects like, the whole community. But in most cases in our history, knowing a poet, it was always someone that made people aware. It might be like political, it might be social, it might be a local level or a national level, but I believe a poet is someone that always made people aware of like issues, whether big or small. So yeah.
Great.
Oh yeah, the piece. Yeah.
That's nice.
Okay, I'm do something short. I do ancestral poetry. This is like gonna be a bit selfish. It's in a different language. It's not in English. Yeah. Ukufa kombono kamveli ngqangi intshabalalo kwakho sawubona ukuhlabana kabantakwe. Ukuchitheka kwegazi delenza isizibu ukungcola kwesibeleko sikaNomkhubulwane untu angaphinda azalwe izwe lifile umhlaba sembo awusamila izityalo wambathwe ligazi intombi azifumana imende inkomo zitshabile ingcilela umbethe lomfana lisadibani nani lekhazi kuthiwa oyise bazawubulala onyana abantwana bomntu bazawuqhelana ngexele, oomama bazawulaxaza imizi kuye ezingubeni namakrwala, sibone amagqirha emini elikhanda izulu ngesele, buyeza ubusika obusikayo, kuzawuthamba amadoda amadala, kukuntshikiza kwengqele, kuthiwa intsana zizawutshaba, umlambo uzawuchiphiza iinyembezi, sawubona ukuwa kweentsika ezimisa intaba, ulwandle luzawuqala, impilili, umbono wegongqongqo liginya ilanga, zilijike lijonge embo ngamehla avutha umlilo, singqoza isigodlo, likhali ibhelempe, umkhonto uzawutya inyama, igazi liqengqeleke emgubeni, de longcolisa amanzi azisa impilo, kunogimpi. The poem was the poem is called Ischilelo. It's about revelations. I believe we've lived the earth is so old that we've lived in different ages. I believe the end of the world has come and went for different civilizations. And so my poem is about how the world is starting to end in my generation, with everything that's happening around. I believe we living in the last days, in the final hours, and this is what the poem was about.
Thank you so much.
It was beautiful.
It was beautiful. I was just connecting so much with the power of your voice, and I relate to the topic of the session, that is the power of poetry. But I'm also thinking about the power of voices. Your voice while you were just talking, it really made me feel a lot of things. So thank you so much for that.
Cool. Shout out. Can I please take a moment to shout out people online? This session is streaming online on YouTube, and I would like to give you a shout out. I wanna basically, shout out Michelle Morales, activist. Their comment was, as activists relive complicated or hard moments all the time, I would also like poetry recommendations that get us out of this loop. Something tender or beautiful. That's a comment online. So maybe other people will comment on that comment. Maybe at the end of this session, we'll recommend poems that are beautiful, soothing, and healing, And then there's also Nkateko Masinga, all the way in Pretoria, South Africa, shout out. So they say hi, everyone. This is Nkateko. And we also got Ruel, Sasha. And hey, so good to see everyone. Sasha from the corner of the world in Copenhagen.
Hey.
I've got Melissa Moyo as well, sharing some heart emojis. Thank you, Melissa. And then Brian Mpilo, Twabe commented, wow, hello everyone. We see you guys. We appreciate you guys streaming in. And let's continue with the beautiful session.
Woo.
Thank you. Woo. This is getting better and better. And guys, just as I just want to say something. If at moments you see us talking, we're not talking, we're translating live. So we're just going to mute our microphone while you're speaking, and we will be translating live. Okay. So thank you so much. I'm excited.
Yeah.
I believe that we can use poetry as a tool to fight social injustices. And I believe that poetry is the voice of the people against injustice, and the voice of the environment against the people, whenever the people are the ones who are committing the injustice on the environment. And because of that, I believe that poetry can be used in so many different ways, in so many different movements, where we highlight the importance of using this voice to help those without one. And my work highlights those type of things. It highlights social issues that people do not talk about. It highlights all the voices that have no platform to share their injustices. And I think having spaces like this one offers us an opportunity to connect with people around the world and have conversations that would allow us to spread the information needed or the information required to make a change or to start a movement that will result in us making a change. And I cannot stress enough the importance of poetry in this day and age, given the current climate we live in. There's war in different parts of the world, and people are being muted, are being silenced, and they cannot speak for themselves. I believe that during those difficult times, we, the poets, we, the writers, are the ones who need to carry the responsibility and ensure that we speak for those people. And we ensure that wherever they are, whatever is happening to them, they know that there are people who care and there are people who are speaking out, who are trying to make sure that they are heard and they get the justice that they deserve. So this poem is Blood People. The suspect is unknown and dangerous, unknown and bled, unknown and black. This boy is a riot. With burning tires for eyes, this boy is a riot. With tears that fuel his flames, this boy is a riot. With a hair full of protest, this boy is a riot. With skin the hue of a retired bloodbath. Remnants of lost wars rest upon your brooding shoulders. So that is the poem.
Yes, sir.
You.
Really.
Wow, thank you so much, guys. Like really, I'm just feeling so much goosebumps, and I really resonate with what you were mentioning about like fighting and like trying to give a space for those people who cannot speak, or not that cannot speak, but because they are speaking, but that they are not listening. So trying to give our platforms for that and trying to use these spaces for that, I think it's amazing. I really resonate so much with what you guys were mentioning. Thank you so much for sharing those amazing pieces of art. Thank you, really. It was great. And now we can jump right here to Mexico. So I'm going to tell them the same question, and then we can be translating Nancy's one, but we will start with Clau. So the question was, how can we use poetry, to fight for what we need to fight today, human rights, for activism, to try to establish transformation and this kind of things. Give me 1 second. Estamos diciendo que cómo podemos utilizar la poesía para luchar por el activismo, por la transformación, por los cambios políticos importantes. Primero va a platicar Clau y luego tú, y es contestar la pregunta y después leer tu poema, ¿vale? Entonces, si quieres, en cuanto contestes, que sí la traduzca y luego ya lees tu poema. ¿Lo traes traducido de casualidad?
Sí.
Perfecto. Entonces, si quieres, puedes leerlo tú o te lo paso a decirle que lo lea. ¿Súper? Sí. Okay, so we will start with Clau, if you want to share.
Okay, so again, I'm going to first go back. When I was in college, we used to ask ourselves a lot if poets and writers had a duty with society to write about political stuff and to do activism, or just they had the right to just like write beautiful things and didn't need to focus on what was happening on the world. And I think that the question goes beyond that. Do humans have to make activism? Do we have to focus on human rights, or can we just like stay in our bubble and think beautiful things? So it is not just about like poets and writers. I think it is about everyone. And I was talking with the girls before starting this session that I work as an English-Spanish interpreter. And when I started working as an interpreter, I didn't think much about interpretation. And I think that when I thought about interpreters, I used to think about like the people who interpret at the Oscars or at massive media events. And I was like, oh yes. Or like people who do sign languages in TV or massive media. But when I started interpreting, I interpret for people in prison who are in the United States and they only speak Spanish and they have to go to the doctor and they have to take therapy sessions and they have to answer interviews in a language that is not their own. So I was not working in this massive media that I thought interpreters worked at, but in these small spaces that no one thought about because maybe sometimes you think about people in prison and maybe you think about people in prison in the United States, but they specifically think that doctors do not speak Spanish. Also, I think that poetry, yes, it has to be political because it has to make us think about the experiences that we have, but we don't understand because they are not really ours. So the poem that I'm going to share with you now, it is about my experience as an interpreter a little bit. I must admit that I do not memorize my poems usually, but so I'm going to read this one to you. I think it is very short, and then if I have just enough time, I may read another poem to you that it is not mine, but that I think it is politically related to the situation that we are all living today. So I will do that. So first, this is my own. In order to abandon my small town, I cried and fought and studied hard. In order to live, I left. And I learned another language so that I could get a better job, so I could move to a different country, so I could only think of my own. But I became an interpreter. And interpreters never leave, they never abandon. We're trapped. Your voice is his voice. Her words are just your words. These broken, improper, incomprehensible to anyone but a native words. These are my words. These broken, improper, incomprehensible for anyone but an in-between. These are my words, your words, our words. And
Wow, thank you.
That's beautiful.
And I think that what I was trying to say in that poem is that usually when I interpret for all of these people, I think about the people that I do know that I have in my community and how I would feel like, yes, I hear my neighbors in those others, and I feel like I'm there, but I'm here and just and in between.
Wow.
And the other poem that I want to quickly share with you is from Ilya Kaminsky, and it's called We Lived Happily During the War. And when they bombed their people's houses, we protested, but not enough. We opposed them, but not enough. I was in my bed, around my bed, America was falling, invisible house by invisible house by invisible house. I took a chair outside and watched the sun. In the 6th month of a disastrous reign, in the house of money, in the street of money, in the city of money, in the country of money, our great country of money, we, forgave us, lived happily during the war.
Wow. Wow. What's the author of that?
And the author of that one is Ilya Kaminsky.
Wow, thank you for sharing that as well.
Thank you for
Wow.
sharing. Yeah.
I'd like to take this time to go back to the comments online. We see you, we appreciate you. Please do comment where you are and what you think of the poetry. There's a comment coming through from Moafrika Mokhati, and it reads, "Poetry is a universal language." Thank you for such a beautiful gathering that transcends language and borders.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And then there's another one coming in from Michelle Morales. I'm not sure which poet shared she's commenting to, but the comment reads, "My mom only speaks Spanish and she is crying with your poem."
I think she's.
Yeah, so I think,
responding.
yeah, you know, I think poetry has power to connect and really just to touch emotions. I love what you said, Jonathan. He said, we might not understand each other in language, but we understand each other in emotion.
Wow, yes.
That was really, really beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, and then obviously there's emojis coming through from Tobile Chittenden. Brian, we see you. Brian is all over the comment section. These really amazing people online showing us some love, and we really, really appreciate it. We see you, and we'll continue with the program.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yay, thank you, friends. So now we will jump on to Nancy. She will be sharing in Spanish, and after that, Sheila will be translating first her response to the question, and after that, she has her poem translated. So, ¿lo quieres leer tú?
Sí, lo digo yo en español y me llamo.
Okay. So she will be reading in Spanish, and after that, Sheila will be also reading the poem in English, okay? So we will start. Thank you, guys.
Gracias otra vez. Para mí yo no me considero poeta, me considero una trabajadora del arte. ¿Por qué? Porque pienso que eso nos posiciona ante la vida. No, si quieres.
She doesn't consider herself as a poet. She considers herself as an art worker.
Siento que me posiciona con demandas concretas, que nos relaciona con un montón de realidades en la Ciudad de México y en el país.
Because she feels connected or related with the situations that are happening here in Mexico City.
Mi actividad en torno a la poesía para mí es una herramienta también, coincido con eso, con lo que se ha dicho aquí, y creo que también es una forma de, como decían, de hacerte oír de otra manera.
Poetry for her is also a tool where she can express herself about the situations that are happening around the world.
And connect with other people as well.
Y sería...
Muchas gracias. Si quieres leer tu poema y luego ¿qué?
El primero pues está dedicado a los defensores de la tierra y los recursos en América Latina y en particular en México.
Déjame que traduzca eso. No lo sé. And she will start reading the poem now, but she's saying that it is dedicated to the workers of the land here in Mexico and in Latin America.
Es el primero que veo. Y esto va por Eugui, que la tala ilegal denunció, va por Berta, por Samir y por todo el pueblo huichol, alas de halcón, piel de jaguar, ríos y selvas que hierva, toda la rabia que esto exacerba, a los pies del tiempo lloró toda la tierra, el capitalismo nos ha declarado la guerra, sonora, vengadora, la palabra opositora, va enfrentando transgresora, policía represora, toda la industria explotadora, ladrona, saqueadora, militares y sicarios cobrando del mismo dólar, la bota en el cuello, en el cielo un cometa, silueta de letras que se escurre entre las grietas, si el 1% destruye el planeta, las huelgas y paros son nuestras armas secretas, salarios de risa y recortes que precarizan, despojo, contratos que el trabajo terciariza, el empresario solo su ganancia garantiza y luego viene el gobierno a cuidarlos y militariza. Somos la fuerza del tigre que el poderoso teme. Si quieren ver la vida, véanla a través de las mujeres. No son muertos, son banderas que de una vez se enteren que quien lucha por la vida nunca muere.
Wow. Okay. Nancy just made me cry. Yeah. On live stream.
I'm gonna read it. I'm sorry, I'm not gonna read it the same way as her, but okay, it goes like this. This goes for Eugi, who denounced illegal logging. This goes for Berta, for Samir, and for all the Huichol people. Hawk wings, jaguar skin, rivers and jungles. Let all the anger that exacerbates boil at the foot of the time that whole earth wept. Capitalism has declared war on us. Sonorous, avenging, the opposing war confronts, transgressor, the repressive police, all exploiting, thieving, looting, industry, the military, and hitmen charging the same dollar. The boot on my neck, in the sky, a comet silhouette of letters sleeping through the cracks. If the 1% destroys the planet, strikes and work stoppage our secret weapons. Laughing wages and budget cut that precarize dispossession, contracts that work outsource. The businessman only guarantees his profit, then the government comes to take care of them and militarizes. We are the strength of the tiger that the powerful fear. If you want to see the light, do it through women. They are not dead, they are flags. Once they find out, that is the greeting that whoever fights for life never dies.
Wow. Again, please, like it was really.
That was beautiful. And her voice is so strong. Yo, that was amazing.
Yo, whoever fights for life never dies.
Yeah.
And she has a second poem.
Ah, go ahead.
Yeah, please.
Este está dedicado pues en contra del genocidio en Palestina, solidaridad internacional. Quien sea que esté viendo, pronúnciese, rompan el silencio.
Dame un segundo, and she's saying that this poem is dedicated to what's happening in Palestine, to the genocide in Palestine happening right now, to be in empathy with them and to pronounce each other against that.
Hay más de 12.480 kilómetros entre la Ciudad de México y la Franja de Gaza. Hacen falta otros 372.000 para llegar a la Luna. Dios debe estar más lejos o bajo los escombros. Dios sin internet, Dios refugiado, 40 días sin pan ni agua en un desierto entre muro y mar. Un canto de sombras y llanuras, un cielo de truenos blancos, polvo de huesos y estrellas sin jinete. Cielo yanqui, cielo avisos de papel, cielo bota de colono arrasando los olivos y van a volver. Las miles de pequeñas llaves que sueñan con el retorno van a volver, como aves de desierto burlando sus puestos de control, sus campos de refugio, sobrevolando la muerte incrustada en las mezquitas, por encima del silencio de los hipócritas y los conmovidos de ocasión. Van a volver.
Wow.
Van a volver.
Thank you so much. So now the version in English, but before that, I just want to say that there's one more guest that it's getting here right now. So she will quickly share her poem as well as soon as we finish with Nancy.
Yeah.
Okay, so there are over 12,480 kilometers between Mexico City and the Gaza Strip. Another 372,000 are needed to reach the moon. God must be farther away or beneath the rubble. God without internet. God as a refugee. 40 days without bread or water in a desert between wall and sea. A sun of shadows and plains. A sky of white thunder, dust of bones, and riderless stars. Yankee sky, a sky of paper warnings, a sky of a settler boot trampling the olive trees. And return they will. The thousands of small kids dreaming of return will return. Like desert birds evading their checkpoints, the refugee camps, flying over death embedded in the mosque. Above the silence of the hypocrites and the conveniently moved. And return they will.
Wow. Thank you so
Return
much.
they will is van a volver.
Yes,
Yeah.
van a volver.
That's so cool. That's a beautiful poem.
And it
She's
is
such a great writer.
Yes.
Chase. And again, as you guys, your voice are so powerful. Really, it made things happen, right? In the body, like you can actually feel that. But well, if you want, si quieres presentarte y leer uno de tus poemas, ya no tenemos mucho tiempo. So our last guest is here. She will be introducing quickly herself, and after that, sharing one of her poems, so that we can start. Unfortunately, we're getting to the end of the session. I wish we have a lot more time, but we're getting to the end. So after she sharing her poem, we will probably be saying goodbye and wrapping up. So we'll just get on that, and after that. Guys, this is live stream. So if you want, for the community that is watching us online, if you want to share any comment on what you're feeling, on what is happening right here, please feel free to do it. And also, if you want to comment later after the session, like you can search for us on our social media website, on the UN Live social media website, and also on UN Live social media on Instagram and Facebook and YouTube. Please feel free to search for all the information and comments over there. So, ¿te quieres presentar?
Hi guys, I'm Estefania. I am actress and performer. I was in Palestine in October to February. So this is my text about Palestine.
Thank you.
One moment, please.
Todo el mundo tiene el mismo formato, ¿verdad?
Sí. ¿Quieres que se tarde mucho para decir?
Sí, si quieres.
Okay. So we're just like, we have like 10 more minutes, so we have time to finish with Stefania's last poem. But before that, I would love to hear from you guys one comment on what this session made you feel.
For me, it was really lovely getting to feel a perspective of like a different world. So like I really love this conversation because I got to learn that we might be living like in different continents, far apart, but we're breathing the same air. We're feeling the same pain, and we fighting the same struggle. No matter where in the world.
Yeah, thank you.
For me, my favorite thing is that we get to talk about my favorite thing. I love speaking about poetry. I'll sit down and speak about poetry at any time. All right. You can wake me up at 2 a.m. and be like, what do you think about poetry? I'm like, listen, what I think. Just being a part of a conversation about something that I love and something that is so powerful is a pleasure to me.
Thank you so much.
For me, it offered me a sense of community because I get to connect with people across the world, and they get to share their stories with me, and I get to share mine with them. So it gave me a sense of connection and a sense of renewed purpose in terms of continuing to do the work that is necessary to help people, because everyone across the world is out there doing their best to make sure that these voices are heard. So I appreciate that about this session.
Thank you so much, guys. And I'm so grateful for you to participate with us and for everyone that is here. Really, like, you made me feel so empowered around using my voice, and also to understand like how important empathy is. We always think about empathy like on a rational level, right? But I was just listening to your poem in another language, and I really felt it, you know? And I know that you guys felt Nancy as well. So I think that we should keep it emotional. Like, there's where everything's happening. Thank you so much, guys. Really. ¿Estás lista? Sí.
This is about my time in Masaferyata in the soul of Palestine. La soledad de las aldeas que se mantienen de pie. La lluvia trata de apagar el incendio, pero todo se complica. El amor es un salto de fe a lo desconocido. Después, el retorno tras el exilio. La voluntad de permanecer sostiene estas aldeas, aún en el silencio, aún en la incursión. He traído conmigo pequeños fragmentos para la imaginación. Los he dejado en sus puertas, esperando que los niños vuelvan. Que las aldeas no se queden vacías. Encontrar algo de luz que rompa con las tinieblas. En estas aldeas de muerte lenta. Aquí, en donde los olivos mueren de pie y los animales lo hacen lentamente a falta de comida. Donde ellos han impuesto un toque de queda y límites sin fronteras. Dejo que abrace mi cuerpo el calor del fuego, que me inunde las risas de la familia del otro Ibrahim, el de Shabbat Button. Mientras la habitación se llena de colores, pienso que yo no debería de estar ahí. Sucia, se mantiene en pie. Mi cabello es un arco iris en el que se tejen los sueños de verlos permanecer. Ella me abraza y yo deseo que abrace su tierra. Acomoda su cabello, su cabeza sobre mis piernas mientras vemos el amanecer. ¿Cuántos amaneceres le quedan a este lugar? Los puestos de control están cada vez más cerca de Tuba. Ellos llegan como lobos hambrientos que se alimentan del terror. Atravesamos las colinas entre el sol ardiente para llegar al rincón más cercano a Gaza, en donde dos familias son el símbolo más grande de resistencia. Guaditirán, las risas, el frío de las noches que penetra hasta los huesos, los juegos y el ocaso que nos brinda una posibilidad, abre espacios para continuar. La piedra continuará siendo piedra y sus memorias seguirán aquí, entre tiendas silenciosas y aldeas en soledad.
Muchas gracias. Gracias por compartir. So now, ¿lo tienes en inglés? She will be reading in English, or Ciela will be reading in English.
Okay. The loneliness of the villages that stand on their own feet. The rain tries to put out the fire, but everything gets complicated. Love is a leap of faith into the unknown. Then, the return after exile, the will to remain sustains these villages, even in the silence, even in the incursion. I have brought with me small fragments for the imagination. I have left them at their doors, hoping that the children will return, that the villages won't remain empty, to find some light to break the darkness in these villages of a slow death. Here, where the olive trees die standing, and the animals die slowly for the lack of food, where they have imposed a curfew and boundaries, limits without borders. I let the warmth of the fire embrace my body, and the laughter of the other Ibrahim's family. From Shabab al-Butum fulfills me. As the room fills with color, I think I shouldn't be here. Susie stands. My hair is a rainbow, in which dreams of seeing them remain are woven. She hugs me, and I long for her to embrace her earth. She settles her head on my legs as we watch the sunrise. How many sunrises does this place have left? The checkpoints are getting closer and closer in Tuba. They come like hungry wolves feeding on terror. We cross the hills in the burning sun to reach the closest corner of Gaza, where two families are the greatest symbol of resistance. Wadi Tiran, the laughter, the call of the nights that penetrates to be born. The games and the sunset give us a chance. Open spaces to continue. The song will continue to be sung, and its memories will remain here among silent tents and lonely villages.
Wow. Well,
Yeah.
thank you so much. Muchas gracias por eso. It is a very hard way to end, but I think that, as Clau was mentioning, poetry isn't just supposed to be beautiful, it is supposed to be political. And we are supposed, as humans, right, as to be political, to fight for what we think that it is fair to fight for. And we are sure that this is fair to fight for. We need to stand against it. We need to use our voices to pronounce against what's happening in Palestine. So thank you so much again to everyone that is participating. Thank you so much for the people that is accompanying us online. And Hector, if you want to finish.
Yes, please. In closing, also there's a few last comments just to close the sessions from the words from the guys who are watching us online. Lisa Rodriguez says hello from Bombay, India. The session is live streaming across the world. It's really beautiful that people from different places, South Africa, Mexico, India. I know, there's a lot. There's Copenhagen as well in the comments. So thank you very much for joining us for this moment. And then there's a comment from Ultimate Pro. In a world where justice existing feels like resistance, it gives me hope. Long live the resistance, long live Palestine. They also said they shared a poem here, or they're sharing a poet's work. Still the Ultimate Pro. There is an Urdu poem by Fayaz Ahmed Fayaz called Hum. The king, hopefully I'm pronouncing the words right. And then in brackets he wrote, we shall see. I think that's what Ham the king means. which says, "We shall see the day when thrones of oppression will be overturned and the masses will rule." Yeah, so, and then the last one from Jose Morales, they comment, "Mexico and Johannesburg, two far places, different hours and different cultures, but only one objective, to be happy through poetry." It's really, really lovely. We appreciate all the
Thank
comments.
you so much. Thank you.
And yeah, that's it for me. I don't know if anybody else has any closing remarks.
I think we're right up on time, but I would love if you could finish.
Sorry, I just wanted to appreciate the line about how you asked, how many sunsets does this place have left?
That's right.
That line was so powerful. It stayed with me. I just wanted to appreciate that.
I think maybe in closing, to just hear everybody's voice, especially for the guys who are streaming online since it's live. If it's not too much to ask, I know we have small time left. Just for you guys to shout out your social media handles, maybe just one platform, not all of them, but just choose one, shout out or spell out your social media handles. For the guys streaming online, where can they find you?
Perfect. If you want to start there, sharing your social media.
Yeah, mine is Noxolo_desire on Instagram, which is NOXOLO_desire, DESIRE, NOXOLO_DESIRE.
Thank you.
On Instagram, I am Shaman Chan Utongo Experience. ITHONGO_experience. Yeah, I think. Yeah.
Thank you.
Mine is Jonathan Lefenya on Instagram, JONATHANLEFENYA. It's one with Jonathan Lefenya on Instagram.
Cool. Right. Myself, the Joburg Guardian of the Portal. I will also make a post on my profile just in case you miss or can't find them. I am Exquisified, one word, XQUIZIFIED, Exquisified. And I'll create a post specifically for the session and mention these guys. It's Exquisified across all platforms, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Thank you.
Thank you. And what's your guys, if you want to, si quieren compartir sus redes sociales.
Mine is at Instagram, at Claudia Excaret, which is spelled CLAUDIAEXCARET.
I love how you guys are good with letters because I could never do that. ¿Quieren compartir sus redes?
Pues, un proyecto que tengo que es @bajo.palabra y ahí pueden encontrar poesía.
Bajo.palabra. ¿Yo bajo?
No, bajo. Tal cual la letra, bajo, por encima bajo palabra.
Okay. Hers is bajo.palabra, which is BAJO.PALABRA. Bajo.palabra.
El mío es señorita, SRITA,
Señorita.
punto rep, como revolución, pero
Okay.
abreviado.
Okay. Okay. And hers is señorita.rep, which is
Cool. In closing the session, I'd like to share that that statement. When I say a global me, we all say a global we. A global me is a
global
we.
Thank you very much.
Thank you guys so much. Pleasure
Thank you for
meeting
having
you.
us.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.